Hi there, so I'm just going to show you how I speed paint light blue Space Wolves armour using a makeup brush. I'm using Vallejo paints for this, and you'll see in a minute. I'm going to go for equal parts Elfic blue, and put that on my wet palette there, and also Sombre grey to give it that base coat. So I've got a makeup sponge here that I've cut down. It's got a nice sort of sharp edge, which will assist you in getting into the more recessed surfaces of the model. With this stage, coverage is quite important. So we want to get into the parts of the armor that you wouldn't have to reach later on during the process. So I'll just dampen the sponge here a little bit to assist the flow of the paint, and I'm trying to get as much as the armor covered as possible. This first base layer is going to be our darker tone for the shaded areas, the areas that the light won't hit, and we'll gradually build it up with lighter tones. So here I've got some Hexed Lichen from Vallejo, and I mixed that in with some Rhinox hide, and I'm going to do a quick wash, nothing too complex here. So you can see I'm just adding enough water to the paint so it flows over the edges. You can see that ridge in the on the wet palette is just so it's flowing over there, and I'm just going to basically cover the whole, saturate the whole model with this wash. Not going to concentrate on trying to get into the recessed areas or anything too technical. I'm just covering the whole model in this case, making sure I cover the entirety of the model. I go through all the armor plates, everything. Then what I'm going to do is just dampen down the brush, and clear out some of the, wash away some of the paint where it's sort of pulled on the surfaces of the armor, and then leave it out to dry. So I left it out to dry for a while, and basically when it finished, came back and gave it another coat of the previous Elfic blue Mournful grey mix, and I'm just going over the plates of the armor again, the actual exposed surfaces. So I grabbed some Vallejo electric blue here, and I'm just going to lighten up the mix a bit more. So I'm just adding this into the previous base color that we already mixed on the palette. And we're just going to gradually lighten it up. So yeah, I've covered most of the model with the mix with the electric blue in there, and I'm just focusing on the raised surfaces and areas of the armor, the areas that are going to be picking up most of the light. So in general, I'm focusing on most of the light towards the top left-hand side of the model, or the top right-hand side of the model as you're looking at it. So the left pauldron, the power fist, the top left-hand side of the helmet and the carapace, they're going to be concentrating most of the kind of lighter tones on there. And here you can see I started building up the volumetric highlight on the shin guards. So they're a cylinder kind of shape, so I'm just trying to pick out the middle to give it that cylindrical effect. I'm also doing the sort of top third of the power fist, So in itself, it's kind of a half cylinder shape. And you can see just occasionally I drag or swipe the sponge at the edges of the model, which gives it a kind of edge highlighty kind of effect. A bit like a chunky highlight you'd do a normal brush. So as you can see, I've grabbed some Vallejo Wolf Grey to lighten up the value a bit, and I've added that to the previous mix we had. And I'm just dabbing it out because we're going up quite a lot in terms of value. I'm just dabbing it out on the cardboard so less of the paint is actually caught on the model. And you can see here it's way too much paint there on the sponge, so I'm just dabbing a bit more out and just going over those lighter, the more sort of elevated areas on the armour here. I'm just going to go around the edges as well. Anywhere where the armour's going to be, the light's going to be sort of glancing off the edges and surfaces. Also going to tone up the volumetric highlights as well. Put like a layer in the centre of the shin guards and the power fist, just to give it that kind of edge highlighty effect. Here I've wiped most of the paint off the brush. I'm still going in with that previous mix, but I'm just trying to scrape the sponge over the edges of the model to get that kind of dry brushy type of effect, which I think is actually works quite well using this sponge, because some of the paint will be absorbed into the body of the sponge, and as you apply pressure against the model, it's going to allow a tiny amount of the paint to apply to the surface of the model, the edges of the model, and leave the rest of it pretty much untouched. So it's a similar concept to dry brushing, but just a bit. It feels a bit more effective to me, less scratchy, and smoother overall in general. Just trying to sort of swipe across the edges of the model here, similar to before. And each sort of stage, I lighten up the mix with more of the wolf grey, eventually to sort of primarily wolf grey in there for the very raised edges and surfaces of the model. Can keep going here and swiping across the edges, even in the kind of more recessed areas, panels of the armour, just to give it some shape and interest there. And of course the top of the carapace is going to get a lot of the light, so I'm pretty liberally dabbing on the top of there to get that highlight done. And hopefully you can see the sort of contrast between the kind of recessed edges of or areas of the armours and the upper facing sides and panels of the armour, where it's going to be picking up more light, and it just looks a little bit more realistic. And there I've finished with the model at this stage. I'm not really going to do anything more to it. It's basically intended for army painting and giving it a little bit more interest than a sort of block painted model. And here I've just added some details. I've not even added any further edge highlights on the armour. I think that works well enough for tabletop level painting. Just basically gone over and added the metallics in the normal method, and sort of added the details on the shoulder pad. If you wanted to, you could add a bit of an edge highlight, some further details. Here I've just focused on the upper raised edges of the model and just added some wolf grey in there, just make it look a bit more attractive. So there you go. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Apologies for the video quality. This is literally my first video I've ever made of this type. And I literally sellotaped my iPhone 15 to the lamp that I was painting with. If you want to see any more videos like this, just let me know and I'll try and put something out for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.